Hi.
My name is Dustin Norman from youcanfba.com, and I'm making a quick little video for the Scan Power group. And I actually wanted to first off just say thank you to Chris Green. I'm going to talk in this video about the transition in my business and what I learned. I went from 100% retail arbitrage to online arbitrage, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Chris Green's book, Online Arbitrage. So if you haven't checked it out, you've never seen it, I do encourage you to go buy it. Even if you don't use every single tactic that's in there, I think it's important to kind of, if you want to make that part of your business, to get into the mind space of what it looks like to become an online arbitrager. So thank you so much to Chris Green for that. And I'm just honestly making this video as a way to kind of explain the things that I've learned, as well as a thank you to Chris and the group for everything that's been given to me through all the knowledge that people share and just their questions, their replies, and all that kind of stuff. So I want to talk to you today about the three things that I've learned in the past year transitioning from retail arbitrage to online arbitrage. Now, first off, it was a lot harder than I thought. I really didn't anticipate that retail arbitrage was going to be something that I loved as much as I did. But there's some joy that I get personally about being in a store. I actually like the driving in between stores. I listen to books on tape. I'm a big fan of also just the experience of cleaning the products. It's just very therapeutic to me. I'm one of those people who I'm all over the place. So like, as you see me reading off of this, if I don't stay on task and I don't have a specific process to follow, it's very easy for me to be like squirrel, 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 which is probably why online selling works, especially with the type of arbitrage that I do, because I'm always looking for the next thing and I can just move on. But the first thing that I learned over the past year is that first off, retail arbitrage is very, very profitable. It's getting really competitive, but if you have a good process and you know the types of products that you're looking for, it's really easy to go make some money in a Walmart or a Toys R Us or a Target or a Kohl's or whatever your store is. So if you're an online arbitrager or you're a retail arbitrager, I know how much money you're making, and I know that people are actually shying away from it, thinking that that's too competitive now. So keep on keeping on. The second thing is that online arbitrage is actually a lot lonelier than I thought. And actually, this is where I want to give a heads up and thank you to Chris Green, because he talked about it in his book that online arbitrage itself is a lonelier activity. And I kind of believed him, but it was good to have someone tell me that it was true before it came so that I knew what was going on. And then the third thing I want to share, and this is actually really the overall focus of the video, is I want to talk about the idea of what business are we building. I know when I look into the group, I see that there are $1 million sellers, there are 2 or 3 or 4 or $5 million sellers, $10 million sellers. There's probably people who are selling more than that. But I think most of us in this group aren't those people. Most of us are people who are building a business or supplemental income or side income, or we're trying to pay off debt, or we want to save up for our kids, or we want to do whatever. And we're focused on building it from a different perspective. But the overall narrative that we hear in our community, and not just in our community, but just in general, is grow, 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 grow. You want to get bigger, you want to sell more, you want to do this, you want to do that. And I know some of us feel the pressure. I know I can personally say that I've succumbed and I've tried to do things in my business against my own personal intuition simply because it was either brought up in the community so much I felt like that was what I was supposed to be doing, or I felt like I was falling behind from other people. I mean, I actually hired employees and I have no interest in managing. I'm not a manager. I'm a solopreneur. I'm the type of dude who can do it myself. I can use contract employees. I can use temps. I can use things like that. But full employees, no, I can't do it. I mean, I've even spent time figuring out if I wanted to invest in a private label product, and that's just not the type of business I want to run. It's not. I'm not willing to take the type of risk that is required to do that with importing and then creating your own product and the risk of injury to someone or anything like that. It's just not the business I want to grow. But I think in our support for each other, we encourage each other, and that's wonderful. I'm giving this video because I've gotten so much encouragement and so much support from this group. But I think it's important for each of us to really understand what business are we building so that we can think about, honestly, what is our long-term goal? And I think it's a question that I don't see frequently asked because in our day-to-day, we get really bogged down with the idea of be on the lookout or price drops or clearance or sales ranks or sales rank spikes in the holidays or things like that. But I think for each of us, no matter what the size of our business is, we have to ask the question, what do we want from this business and why are we growing it? Now, to make this a little bit easier, I'm not simply just going to give you an open-ended question and let you just like go ponder what you're going to do for the rest of your life with your business. I'd like to offer you a general framework. And this is a framework that I've actually just kind of come up with after about 3 years of selling. It took me about 2.5 years to get my business to where it is now, where I can work less, make as much as I was before. and just comfortably run it with just one person. But I've now kind of started to think about what is the business that I want to build and where is it that I want to go. So I've come up with a formula. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm going to explain it. It's just when you think about it, so think about it like any regular formula. It would be philosophy is greater than strategy. Strategy is greater than tactics, but execution is greater than all of it. Now, I'm going to go through piece by piece to help explain this, but I just want to kind of give an idea of what this means. So this is just an overview of how I see the activities in my business right now. And like I said, when I started, I had no idea. And I think most of us didn't. Most of us started out just purely executing. And that's why execution is greater than everything. We grabbed our phone, we went to a store, we started scanning, we had no idea what we were doing. We scanned, we found profit, we shipped it in, it sold, and most of us were hooked. Now, when we bought and sold our first item, we didn't anticipate that this was going to be the beginning of selling 100 items, or 1,000 items, or 10,000 items, or some people in here selling hundreds of thousands of items. And it all started off with one. It all started because we took that ability to execute and we did it. And what execution does is it teaches you. It slowly teaches you the other direction. So execution then teaches you tactics. And then tactics then inform your strategy. And then the strategy then becomes overall your philosophy. But I think that that's not the right way to do it. While I think it's a great way of learning, and we've all learned from just doing something, jumping in the deep end of the pool and seeing if we could make it, I know that there's a better way to do it now that we all understand what kind of business this is. And I think it starts from the other end. I think we want to start with the philosophy of what type of business we want to build. And the reason is because if you know what kind of business you want to build, it's going to make it so that the strategies that you implement are going to be much more effective because they're aligned with who you are. And then the tactics that you're doing are going to be much more effective because they're aligned with your strategy and your philosophy. Now, I think when you do that, it allows you to execute effortlessly. It allows you to run your business like someone who almost is, as they would used to say, a ninja. Like you can just do things that other people are blown away by your ability to do, and it's because you have the alignment. I definitely have executed in my business in the wrong direction for a long period of time, but was so committed to doing it that it worked. Now, it didn't work as well as it could have or it should have, but it worked. And I think that's something that we should just start to think about. So as you think about philosophy, think about ultimately where is the long-term goal. And when I say philosophy, so I think about it in this sense. I had to ask myself, how much time do I want to spend on my selling business? Is that aligned with the person that I am? It's really not. And here's the reason why. Even though that I do wholesaling now and my business is much easier to operate, I can just buy tons of stuff online, get it shipped, slap some Amazon labels on it and ship it right back out. I still don't like the process of touching physical goods. I thought I did, but I don't. So I know that actually I want to move away from selling physical goods and I'd like to start selling digital goods. Ta-da, you can FBA. I want to be able to be someone who gives information to people and helps people do the things that they want to do better. And not because I don't think that I want to run an Amazon selling business, but because it's honestly just not the type of business that I feel comfortable with. I want to have a business where I can close my laptop, get up and go with my girlfriend, and we can go skiing for a week and I don't have to think about it. I want to be able to have a strategy inside my business that is focused on building things for people that have value to them, that can be long-term purchased over and over and over without having to be restocked. And then when I start to think about tactics, now I have to think about the way that I want to employ this inside of my own business, and how can I make sure that my philosophy, my strategy, and my tactics are all aligned so I can execute. So my tactics are going to be, and I'm just telling everyone the whole thing so that you can see how this works for someone, is that I want to focus on continuing to create courses and books. And I honestly, being in the Amazon space, this just happens to be the space that I know a lot about because I sold, not because it necessarily interests me. It's just something that I loved and I did for a long time, and I want to be able to share the little nuggets that I have so that people can get some information and value out of it. But once my philosophy, strategy, and tactics are aligned, it allows me to execute as though there's nothing in the way. It's like that phrase that you hear, like a hot knife through butter. That's essentially what it is when you are on your purpose. And that's what I see when I see these $1 million sellers or $2 million sellers or $5 or $10 million sellers. These people's philosophy, strategy, and tactics are all perfectly aligned for what they're doing to help them execute at a really high level. Now, this is something that every single one of us can think about just for our business, because maybe you're struggling in a little aspect like I was. I was struggling because I didn't have enough time in the day to be able to go to the stores, go get the stickers off, list them, label them, and then ship them out to Amazon. And sometimes I would find myself doing things that I thought were crazy. I was going on road trips to Iowa. I would do 36-hour road trips where I would hit 15 different Walmarts in 36 hours. I would sleep in my van. I would sleep in my van in the parking lots for like 3 hours at a time and just drive the half an hour in between, shop for 2 hours, then take a nap or get something to eat. And while I loved that, that was a wonderful experience, it was draining. It wasn't the actual way I should be running my business because it wasn't, not only was it not sustainable for me, it just wasn't the type of person that I wanted to be. So as you start to think about what business it is that you're in and the business that you want to be in, just think about, does what you're doing right now, even if it's profitable, fit in with the philosophy, strategy, and tactics that you want to employ? So I want to thank you so much for watching this. I'm going to plug something. I actually do have a free PDF report at youcanfba.com. I've made 3 rules that help me overcome, I think, the 3 biggest problems that kill Amazon sellers in the long run, or their business at least, which is slow sales, bad products, and then overbuying. I think those are the 3 things that ultimately sink businesses. I know I personally went through the experience of having slow sales and buying a ton of a bad product. And that combination right there will either slowly kill your business or at least pretty much stop it for the time being. So you can go to youcanfba.com. You'll get that PDF report. It'll be emailed to you automatically. And then I do have a book as well. It's called Goodwill Your Money Machine. It's 99 cents. I'm writing a second and third. So if you want to go buy that one right now, you can. If you just really enjoyed this video and want to show some form of support. So thank you so much for watching this. I really do appreciate everyone in ScamPower's group. I really do appreciate Chris Green because he's I'm amazed at the stuff that Chris Green does. I honestly am. He's everywhere, I feel like, all the time. So very good inspirational person to follow and get to learn from. So thank you so much, ScamPower, and I hope everyone has a great, profitable day and much success in your business.